Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max.
Welcome, everyone. We are the Geek Patrol, and our microphones don't have a stun setting. I'm Joe Thorderson, here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Alan Gilbreth and Alyssa Diggs and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And in the house, our good buddy Denise Hager, who is the head of marketing and the head of programming, as if those titles mean anything, because you more or less get roped into everything. But one of the big shot directors over at MidSouthCon. And Denise, this is year 40 coming up.
This is year 40, like 40 years of MidSouthCon. It's hard. I grew up with it, but that's still a number that I'm having trouble with. I feel old.
Alan's been to just about every single one of those things, haven't you?
This will be my 39th MidSouthCon.
Okay, so it's coming up really fast here. It's going to be let's see, March 21st through 23rd at the Whispering Woods over in Olive Branch, and a location we're all very familiar with. So, and so we're going to be talking about that. We're going to find out what's in store for everybody if they head over to MidSouthCon. Real quickly, though, we have some housekeeping notes, Brandon. We finally got our dates locked in for our Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention.
That?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, we will be returning to the University of Memphis Holiday Inn November 15th and 16th of this year. We already have our vendor applications open, our panel applications open. And if you have an interest in trying to stake a claim at a fan table, you might want to get an email into us quick.
I'm glad you said that, because the reason, I know November sounds a long way off, and I know we're here to celebrate MidSouthCon, but here's the deal. Last year, by the first week of May, we completely sold out our vendor room, which has never happened to us before.
It's never happened before.
And it seems like we're on pace to do that again. And then same with programming. We get people, Brandon, you know this, they'll contact you in September or something.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, I've got all these ideas, or I want a fan table.
Right,
And it's
and
like, sorry,
I've already,
man.
I will admit, I kind of messed up by dropping that right after you dropped the vendor applications, because I've already been bombarded.
Yeah. I've been forwarding the email. So,
I mean, me and you start scheduling for different things between the cons.
Well, it's true.
A year ahead.
I mean,
a year.
The truth is I've probably got notes of at least 8 panels that me and Denise have come up with already.
Now, let me ask you guys something, because before we jump into MidSouthCon, because this is people that don't organize events, maybe they won't relate to this, but you guys probably know the feeling. When the event finally rolls around, it's that weekend and you're getting ready to set up. Like Alyssa, I'll look at you and I'm like, it feels like we just did this last month.
Yeah, it does feel like that. It comes back around too fast.
It does. And it's like, so it's not too early to start thinking about these things and planning it out. And do yourself a favor, especially if you organize an event. Get a lot of this nitpicky stuff done months in advance so you're not dealing with it, right at the last minute. So.
Yeah, if you need to talk to the health department about something that you've got going on, definitely check with the health department, but also check with your venue to make sure they'll allow it.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I want to just say one more thing about Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention, since
it's your baby.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, so this will be our 3rd year in a row at the University of Memphis Holiday Inn, and I've really grown to love that venue. When I walked in the other day to sign the contracts and everything, and there's just a good vibe in that place. I just like being there.
Well, everybody, for the most part, that we work with down there is like excited to see us.
There's something to be said about that.
There's a few people who like work in custodial who go, "Oh my God, it's them again." But for the most part, it's like from the moment you walk in, they'll recognize you and they want to have a chat, and you're like, "I'm here to do business. I will come back and talk to you again."
But they said it's flat out that they love geek event. They said this is their favorite event of the year, and they couldn't be nicer to us. We love the staff over at the Holiday Inn.
We also contributed a bunch of board games to their
That's true.
Supply, so it's like, you can actually check out some of our board games when you stay at the University of Memphis Holiday Inn.
Yeah, we did a little loan and a little, one hand washes the other. They help us, we help them.
I love that.
So it's nice. One other point of business, because Denise, we're here to talk about you today, but we do want to say, hey, the season 4 of Daredevil dropped. I've already watched the episodes multiple times.
Oh, no.
Do not call it season 4, because it's not.
I'm calling it season 4.
It is Born Again season 1.
Whatever.
Because there's no Jeff Loeb involved, and that's why it's so much better.
I'm not saying it's better. I think it's really good, but we've only got 2 episodes. I feel like if they stick with this, Denise, have you watched this?
Not yet. I'm just going to wait for the whole thing to come out. There's so many TV shows we're trying to go through, and with 6 months of planning for a con, then you go and you binge whenever you can.
Right.
But
that's true. This is crunch time for you.
Yeah, but I was like, I can't deal with the cliffhangers right now per episode.
Yeah.
All I got to say, Vincent D'Onofrio does not win some kind of acting award. There is no justice in the entire award system. If you want somebody that will put a chill down your spine with the smallest look, it is D'Onofrio playing the Kingpin.
I'm glad you said that because I'm not going to give spoilers, but I am just going to say, I mean, if you saw the trailers, you get a sense of what's happening this season. This guy looks like a ticking time. This guy looks like there's something is about to explode. And he does it with one little cock of the eyebrow or one little finger tap or something. And you're like, there is something big that's about to happen here. So,
well, I like the fact that they're really embracing the actual drama between these characters.
Right.
They are really, really letting these actors explore it. And this goes to, talking about massive production of photography and directing to get these kind of performances. But I'll be honest, I haven't seen better drama.
It's great.
In anything in years.
Well, yeah,
and,
it's...
these superhero shows and stuff and all these character shows that are driven by Marvel and DC from the beginning, they don't get as much attention. They just kind of get written off. But Pirates of the Caribbean, Johnny Depp won, for Black Pearl or the third one? Yeah. And I was like, it's time. It is. We just need to get there and see the drama because it's worth it.
Yeah. And if you need any more reasons to resubscribe to Disney Plus like I did, because I mean, I'll let's face it, I dropped it. Andor season 2, they dropped another trailer, and I'm telling you, this thing looks epic and huge. I don't know how they're gonna top it, but hats off. Hey, when Disney does something well, I'm gonna say it. But all right, well, speaking of doing things well, when we come back, we are going to talk about the history of MidSouthCon.
You're listening to Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max. They're not afraid to call him Voldemort. The Geek Patrol is back.
And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmsted and Alan Gilbreth and Alyssa Diggs and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And in the house, we've got our buddy Denise Hager from MidSouthCon. And I'm not going to read her titles because really those don't mean anything. You do a lot. You basically keep the wheels turning over there. And it's this is one of my favorite times of year. Spring is in the air. We're starting to, we're coming out of winter. And MidSouthCon is right around the corner. So.
It is. It's 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Joe really blossoms when con season kicks off.
I feel like, it kicks off in January, but
it does not kick off in January. That's a party. I love ShadowCon, but that's a party. That is not a convention.
Feel like convention season ends in January. You got ShadowCon, then it's over, and you take you go hunker in for the winter, and then MidSouthCon
I disagree with that
announces
too.
it.
And I will fight the entire SCA.
I don't know. I feel like with the energy, it started out as a giant Christmas party and became a con, literally. Like they overflow. And now they have their own Christmas party again. So I'm waiting to see if some of that gets merged in eventually too. But in some ways it does feel like an ending. For me, it's a beginning. I think it's kind of that let's go be silly before we do Mid-South and, then get through the summer and all these activities. And then it's basically you guys and all the energy that goes into you guys. Well, there was ABC, but I'm going to stay with, the fantasy cons as a whole, as far as, these themes.
Well, the thing is, by the way, how long have you been with MidSouthCon?
So I started with MidSouthCon 17. I missed 2 after that. So, I mean, there's a couple years in between with COVID and everything. But just to show my age, I started with, as a teenager. And, MidSouthCon 17. And then started volunteering the next year and really never stopped. I missed one because I didn't want to be patient zero with confirmed flu, which happened like Wednesday before the con.
Can I tell a story?
The COVID year, you guys got hit bad. Your timing was
and
terrible.
then COVID, and I had a baby a week after con, but I was at 40 weeks, and I did not want him to literally be a con baby. Like I knew that the moment I walked in, like my water was going to break right there on the floor, and that was a story I did not want.
I don't know. It would have been a pretty.
That
good
would have been a
story,
great
though.
story.
Yeah.
And yet,
I mean, it's way better than the whole, Buddha running around like a chicken with his head cut off because there's no Denise to do the work.
Yeah. I don't know.
I love Buddha, but
It's like I loved it though because it's like leading up to that point, you had been the spearhead of gaming. He was head of gaming, but you were spearheading everything. And then it's like we all get to the con to help set up on Thursday night, and it's like, wait, Denise, where's Denise?
I heard that a little bit, and I just Saturday night I was like, everybody's forgotten about me. Maybe I'll go up there with 103 fever, but
Yeah, probably a good call that you didn't do that. It's funny, Denise. You reminded me a little bit of Alyssa. You've been with us since teenage years.
Yeah.
Were you 12 or 13 when you
No,
started?
I was 16 when I started. I think was my
Okay.
first year as a volunteer was 16, and I just turned 28. So
And when you do too good of a job, you get roped
You
into
get
doing
stuck there
things. And you
forever.
never. And
once you
never
say
leave.
yes, you never stop. Be careful.
Fair warning, folks. If you volunteer for things, they may take you up on it.
you'll
so.
make lifelong friends.
But it is, I think we said this last year too. It's a passion of love. I legit love our community. I love the con community as a whole, but we have such a tie-in with ShadowCon and you guys and stuff, and it feels like they're just extensions of a family.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of like family reunions, honestly, because there's some people you only see at conventions or you see them like at a promotional event. But
I used to take off and tell them I had a family reunion when I was serving, like as a 18, 19.
Nice.
I have to go to a family reunion because I was more certain that my manager would let me then, but I'm not advocating for other people to do that. I'm just saying.
yeah, but so MidSouthCon has seen a lot of a lot of locations. But one thing about MidSouthCon is I don't think it's possible to you can't do everything at MidSouthCon. You literally have to go through the menu almost and say, well, I can do these things, but I can't do all of them because there's too much going on.
And we've heard that as both positive and negative feedback, but I love actually that's a thing, that you have to come back year after year, essentially, to really get the whole feel of the entire convention. I know that maybe that's, for some people, it should be a little more streamlined, but we truly are a general geekdom, and we advertise that way, and it feels that way. And I used to tell people it's Nerd Mecca. It's like mini Comic-Con Nerd Mecca. Come and you'll experience all of that. You can do everything you can. You can literally go all night, since there's events all night. And
you're not kidding. The gaming room never shuts down. It's like Vegas.
Yeah. And I was like, and we talked about in the last few years maybe shutting it down and doing a smaller scale version, but I don't know. I love that we have a gaming room that's open with all these board games. You can rent out and play. And we get people that legit show up, do Are You a Werewolf or board games through the night. They catch a nap in the morning and then they're back at it. Maybe that's the teenager in me, because that's what I did. I still do that though. I'm 29 forever, so I just stopped. We just celebrate anniversaries. So I've been going for 23 years, and I started as a teenager, but I'm 29. So that sounds right to me.
Yeah, but people keep all different hours. I mean, Brandon, you're up all night.
Yeah.
There's some people that gaming overnight sounds pretty good.
Well, I will admit that there were many times where I made it through almost all of MidSouthCon without sleeping for more than 30 minutes at a time. I'm an older man now. I do not do it like that, but I work third shift, so I'm used to being up all night. I take 2 small naps during the day, and then eventually, like after about a month, I will take an entire Sunday and make a small coma-like state and stay in that until I have to get up Monday morning.
I can't imagine that. So
I know, and I'm 47 doing this.
I'm an insomniac, and I do that every couple weeks or month especially when I hit a bout of it. I basically will sleep an hour or two here and there, and then there's like a day where sleep just hits. You hit that wall, and you're gone for a day.
actually, now that you say it, though, Brandon, you're probably living more. Maybe you were born in the wrong era, because I think the ancient Greeks, they slept in 2 phases. They would get up at, you know how we get up at 3 a.m. and we can't fall back asleep?
Yeah.
They stayed up. They got work done. They did some writing or whatever. Then they went back to bed at 6 a.m.
That's kind of how mine works, is like when I actually get to sleep, it's like when I wake up, there's no, I'm not ready to go and rolling over and going back to bed.
All right. Well, we're going to find out more about MidSouthCon when we come back here on Geek Tank Radio.
You're listening to Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max. The Geek Patrol is back.
And it's not out of the question that you might have a very minor case of serious brain damage.
And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmsted and Alan Gilbreth and Alyssa Diggs and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And in the house, our friend Denise Hager, who is one of the organizers of MidSouthCon. The 40th annual MidSouthCon is coming up March 21st through 23rd in at the Whispering Woods in Olive Branch. And I know, Brandon, we always have new listeners. And
right.
Would you give a summary of what a convention is?
No.
And at least what MidSouthCon, because you've been there.
Okay,
too,
so,
and you're good at the elevator pitch.
All right, guys. So if you really have any love for geekdom, whether it be anime or old movies or new movies or writing, or just want to go and buy the perfect gift for the nerd in your family, MidSouthCon has all of that and about 400 things more, mainly in their gaming room.
Yeah.
They are the biggest gaming event in our area, and they tend to put on an amazing show. If you want to get in and play any collectible card games or tabletop role-playing games, board games, they've got an amazing board game library that has a lot of, random favorite or big favorites, but then they've got these random like indie games that show up in there that you've never heard of them before, but chances are if it's not in the play to win, you're gonna buy a copy as soon as you've played it at least once.
Right.
They got me with Last Night on Earth many moons ago. But it really is, it's on top of everything else, it's a family event, and I don't mean that as fun for the whole family, which it is, but they will basically suck you in, and within maybe 2 hours worth of programming, you feel like you live there.
Yeah.
You never want to leave. And then at the end of the weekend, you're just like, you've made new friends, you've got new interests, you've spent entirely too much money, but don't look at that.
Right.
Spend it. You can't take it with you. And that's cons in general around here. We try to reach out to everybody and do amazing things, but MidSouthCon is our mothership.
Yeah.
It's the one that we all go, I'd like to do that, but I'm going to focus on this part of it, or I'm going to focus on this. MidSouthCon does it all.
Yeah, you guys dive into the deep end.
We do. We everybody, we have, for our guest of honors this year, just to throw that out there, we have Steve Jackson, who does Munchkin Games and GURPS and Car Wars, and he's so much fun to talk to. And having, what was it, MidSouthCon 30 that he was our guest of honor before, and it was insanely entertaining for all the little things that got thrown in for Steve. And I'm so excited he's going to be back. Les Johnson, who's a NASA, ion propulsion rockets to Pluto and oversees a department, and is a science fiction writer too. Keith D. Candido, who writes all sorts of fiction from books from the Star Trek world. If it's a fantasy geek, storyline, there's probably a book by him out there. He also did his own series, but when you read his bios, it's like it reads like a zoo animal, and as a thing. Keith D. Candido is a 200-pound white man who can be found here, blah blah blah, wandering the streets of, but yeah, it's really funny. We have Annetta, who's more of a local artist, but she does her work. When you see it, is kind of awe-inspiring, and then special guest Chris Kennedy, who is a completely independent editor and publisher, and has published probably, over 40 books, but he has a full company that does this for other authors too, and has made a successful run with it outside of traditional publishing, and is here just to talk and share his secrets, I hope.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun. But yeah, my daughter got, after meeting Les Johnson, she's gotten help from him that ended up leading to science fairs and everything else. for a STEM kid, and
I never
all the
miss
games.
Les Johnson's panels because they're really interesting. It's all about what's the latest in space science and the latest NASA projects and things like that. His are great.
And, Jim Beal will be there too for science. And Les is great. Don't get me wrong. He's a fantastic. My favorite thing was the impromptu panel in the middle of the game room last time he was here on wormholes, just from a comment that somebody made in a space game. But Jim Beal, who is like a nuclear scientist and has done all this stuff, is doing everything from information on water. And he has this game that we play in which you're going back, as if it was year 4000 and looking at all these items that we use as people or see at the store or whatever. And, what were they used for? But the science applications are so much fun on all this.
Yeah, and it's interesting you're saying that too, because one of the things, Alan, you know this, the conversations that arise when you mix these people together, this type of, you got the 16-year-old, anime kid, and you got the 70-year-old banker who is into DC comics and all. You mix everybody together, and it's interesting what conversations arise.
I tell everybody, the one thing you've got to remember, you have no idea who you are on the elevator with.
You're not wrong.
And it might be one of your favorite actors or actresses. It might be a world-renowned scientist. And it might be somebody you're going to have a debate with for the next 6 hours.
Yeah.
All right, here's the great thing, and I'm going to throw in the number one reason to go to a themed convention. Ask questions.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you've never played this type of game before. Well, go play it. You've never seen this particular genre of movie. Well, you know what? Walk in a room and say, hey, I've never seen this. Somebody tell me about it. A person will be assigned to you almost immediately. Welcome to the reason you go to things like this is this fact that it is interaction.
Yeah. Yeah, and the cosplay contests. There's a lot of cosplay there too. So.
There's a lot of cosplay. There's a full masquerade that happens, and they take that very seriously. From the Pac-Man to the steampunk Ghostbusters, that have happened in previous years, but really impressive costumes.
Okay, it's MidSouthCon or MidSouthCon.com, right?
MidSouthCon.org.
To get your tickets, go there. Can they still pre-order?
Honestly, I'm not sure anymore. We moved to tabletop, but I think that we are closed until the door. Door price is $60, and it's for everything.
All right. Well, we'll get more information when we come back here on Geek Tank Radio.
You're listening to Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max. The Geek Patrol is back.
Work with a bunch of nerds.
And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmsted and Alan Gilbreth and Alyssa Diggs and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And in the house, our friend Denise Hager from MidSouthCon. And we ran out of time before the break, you guys. We should mention MidSouthCon is coming up March 21st through 23rd. It's going to be at the Whispering Woods in Olive Branch, the Whispering Woods Resort or Hotel. I can't remember how they label it.
Hotel and Conference Center.
Hotel and Conference Center. And one of the things we should mention, it's important because the website is MidSouthCon.org because you guys are a charity. And
we are. We are a nonprofit, and we support every year Literacy Mid-South.
Right.
And, Extra Life with the gaming group, which runs to the Children's Miracle Network.
Yeah, I can't really argue with these, It's nice to have a charity that nobody's going to argue over,
And I really like that it's a local tie-in. I mean, the Children's Miracle Network is a national, organization, but Le Bonheur is part of it, and you can specify Le Bonheur so that we're actually giving back to the community and tying in with all that, and a portion of every, badge admission that we do will go to that, along with the upgrades that you can buy, the jelly bean contest, all that.
Yeah, and you feed people, too.
We do. It's a lot of hot dogs and chips and apples and stuff, but it's worth it. I mean, you don't have to leave and go buy food or spend any other money besides that door and, admission fee, but you can, and sometimes you want to, but there's enough there that you could literally take as a teenager, go and never have to leave the hotel and be okay, even if you don't spend more.
Yeah. So, okay, you've told us about some of the guests coming up. We've got gaming. We've got the vendor room is one of my favorite places to be. But
and it's sold out. Like, it's full and it's been sold out. We've exhausted the waiting list. Yeah.
You sell out pretty early too. I mean, you sell out really earlier than anybody. So,
we keep, since we don't have a cap on admission, there's the door price and everything else that we do, and that is technically still open. You can go to MidSouthCon, which will direct you to tabletop events, and you can still buy admission for that. But outside of that, everything else is now closed, even programming, which I left open for the longest time just because I could.
Right, I gotcha. I wanted to ask you about something though, Denise, because the one thing, as some, I'm not from Memphis, and so I think I started about 15 or 20 years ago going to MidSouthCon, and the one thing that struck me was the art room. What do you call it? It
is. We actually just call it the art room. It's like we should call it a museum or an art gallery. I actually just was thinking about it in future years. I think I would like to do tours through that. And give a tour like a docent. Yeah.
No, it's nice, and it's like you go through, and it feels like a gallery. You go through there, and it's really impressive artwork sometimes.
We have art from the Blah Chicks, Paul's our Toastmaster, and a bunch of other of the local artists, award-winning artists. They mail it to us, but you can come and look at it, but you also can buy lots of it, and it's not crazy priced. You get a mix of new and old artists, but yeah, some of it's really impressive, and some of the artists that are tied to it are worth talking about in their own right. I'm not going to today because we'd be here for an hour just doing that, but yeah.
Well, one of the reasons I like the art gallery too is you go through there. For one thing, there's con etiquette. You don't want to become a booth barnacle. Like, you don't want to sit at somebody's booth for an hour and a half looking through their artwork because you're blocking traffic. But if you go to the art gallery, you can do that. You can take your time and really decide which pieces you want to buy. And
ooh and awe over it too, because whether you buy an original print, or just one of the copies that the computer, the prints that they sell later.
So Denise, do you have any tips for people that have never been to a convention period, or if they're showing up at MidSouthCon for the first time?
I think, depending on your age and the group that you're with, first of all, there's a schedule. It's posted multiple ways. I know maybe I'm being optimistic, because it's fun to stumble into things, but read it. Just read it. Even if it's overwhelming, even if there's a lot of options, even if you go, I want to do 8 things, how do I defy quantum physics? Read whatever schedule and book they give you. Just take a second. Make sure that, you hydrate, have snacks, if there isn't a con suite like ours, but even if there is, sometimes just grabbing something that you can keep on you. I keep headache medicine on me just because, lots of stimuli, even on things I enjoy. And yeah, just go in there and be open to everything, and you'll be amazed at the experiences you'll have, from my daughter's 45-minute conversation with R2-D2 one year to, meeting a NASA scientist, to winning a game, because you can.
It's not hard to win things at the convention.
No, there's lots of prizes and raffles I know, like, our Avatar Legends panel has prizes. Other panels have prizes. There's game shows. There's play to win, that the distributors send us the games, and then you can play them and take them home. There's a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of stuff we give away with it.
We should say, too, if you're here in the Mid-South, the Whispering Woods, it's in Olive Branch, but it's literally like right over the border. It's pretty easy to find, but tell people how to get there.
Well, for me, I was like, get off at Hacks Cross.
385
and Hacks Cross at that exit, and just go straight down, and eventually it's going to be on the left. Coming up, you'll make a turn. But otherwise, it's a straight shot from there. But you can take Lamar to 69 to get there, too.
Yeah.
Or everybody at home, look it up on their website and use your GPS.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying.
Because MapQuest directions here from Geek Tank, it's not going to work.
Okay, there you go. But one more time, how do people get in touch, and how do they find out more?
So the best way to find out more is just to go to www.midsouthcon.org, and there'll be stuff there. There's also all of our Facebook pages for the different departments.
Yeah, I highly recommend follow any group on Facebook that you're looking, because there's going to be updates there.
And this year there's Instagram and Discord too. So
yeah, exactly. So, well, Denise, we're looking forward to it. I can't wait. Like I said, this to me is the kickoff of the con season, and we hope we want you to hydrate and get some sleep and get ready. But we'll be there in a couple weeks. So
I'm excited.
All right, guys.
I'm excited to see everybody. I hope so many people come out and we have fun.
All right. Well, it's time to get out of here, you guys. So until next week, we are the Geek Patrol, and I am Joe Thorderson.
I'm Alyssa Diggs.
I'm Denise Hager.
I'm Alan Gilbreth.
I'm Maximilian.
And I am Brandon Olmsted, challenging you to ambush Joe with the worst selfies while he's at MidSouthCon.